Hare Krishna everyone, we're continuing to read the Bhagavad-gītā as it is, the book by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Preface. Originally I wrote Bhagavad-gītā as it is in the form in which it is presented now. When this book was first published, the original manuscript was unfortunately cut short to less than 400 pages, without illustrations and without explanations for most of the original verses of the Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. In all of my other books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Ishopanishad, etc., the system is that I give the original verse, its English transliteration, word for word, Sanskrit English equivalents, translations, and purports. This makes the book very authentic and scholarly and makes the meaning self-evident. I was not very happy, therefore, when I had to minimize my original manuscript. But later on, when the demand for Bhagavad-gītā as it is considerably increased, I was requested by many scholars and devotees to present the book in its original form. Thus, the present attempt is to offer the original manuscript of this great book of knowledge with full parampara explanation, in order to establish the Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement more soundly and progressively. Our Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement is genuine, historically authorized, natural, and transcendental due to its being based on Bhagavad-gītā as it is. It is gradually becoming the most popular movement in the entire world, especially among the younger generation. It is becoming more and more interesting to the older generation also. Older gentlemen are becoming interested, so much so that the fathers and grandfathers of my disciples are encouraging us by becoming life members of our great society, the International Society for Kṛṣṇa Consciousness. In Los Angeles, many fathers and mothers used to come to see me to express their feelings of gratitude for my leading the Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement throughout the entire world. Some of them said that it is greatly fortunate for the Americans that I have started the Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement in America. But actually, the original father of this movement is Lord Kṛṣṇa himself, since it was started a very long time ago, but is coming down to human society by disciplic succession. If I have any credit in this connection, it does not belong to me personally, but it is due to my eternal spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtottara Shatta Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. If personally I have any credit in this matter, it is only that I have tried to present Bhagavad-gītā as it is, without any adulteration. Before my presentation of Bhagavad-gītā as it is, almost all of the English editions of Bhagavad-gītā were introduced to fulfill someone's personal ambition. But our attempt in presenting Bhagavad-gītā as it is to present the mission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa. Our business is to present the will of Kṛṣṇa, not that of any mundane speculator like the politician, philosopher, or scientist, for they have very little knowledge of Kṛṣṇa, despite all of their other knowledge. When Kṛṣṇa says, Manmanabhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru, etc., we, unlike the so-called scholars, do not say that Kṛṣṇa and his inner spirit are different. Kṛṣṇa is absolute, and there is no difference between Kṛṣṇa's name, Kṛṣṇa's form, Kṛṣṇa's qualities, Kṛṣṇa's pastimes, etc. This absolute position of Kṛṣṇa is difficult to understand for any person who is not a devotee of Kṛṣṇa in the system of parampara, disciplic succession. Generally, the so-called scholars, politicians, philosophers, and swamis, without perfect knowledge of Kṛṣṇa, try to banish or kill Kṛṣṇa when writing commentary on Bhagavad-gītā. Such unauthorized commentary upon Bhagavad-gītā is known as Mayavada Bhashya, and Lord Chaitanya has warned us about these unauthorized men. Lord Chaitanya clearly says that anyone who tries to understand Bhagavad-gītā from the Mayavadi point of view will commit a great blunder. The result of such blunder will be that the misguided student of Bhagavad-gītā will certainly be bewildered on the path of spiritual guidance and will not be able to go back home, back to Godhead. Our only purpose is to present this Bhagavad-gītā as it is, in order to guide the conditioned student to the same purpose for which Kṛṣṇa descends to this planet once in a day of Brahma, or every 8,600,000,000 years. This purpose is stated in Bhagavad-gītā, and we have to accept it as it is. Otherwise, there is no point in trying to understand the Bhagavad-gītā and its speaker, Lord Kṛṣṇa. Lord Kṛṣṇa first spoke Bhagavad-gītā to the sun god some hundreds of millions of years ago. We have to accept this fact and thus understand the historical significance of Bhagavad-gītā without misinterpretation on the authority of Kṛṣṇa. To interpret Bhagavad-gītā without any reference to the will of Kṛṣṇa is the greatest offense. In order to save oneself from this offense, one has to understand the Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as he was directly understood by Arjuna, Lord Kṛṣṇa's first disciple. Such understanding of Bhagavad-gītā is really profitable and authorized for the welfare of human society in fulfilling the mission of life. The Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement is essential in human society, for it offers the highest perfection of life. How this is so is explained fully in the Bhagavad-gītā. Unfortunately, mundane wranglers have taken advantage of Bhagavad-gītā to push forward their demonic propensities and mislead people regarding right understanding of the simple principles of life. Everyone should know how God, or Kṛṣṇa, is great, and everyone should know the factual position of the living entities. Everyone should know that a living entity is eternally a servant and that unless one serves Kṛṣṇa, one has to serve illusion in different varieties of the three modes of material nature, and thus wander perpetually within the cycle of birth and death. Even the so-called liberated Mayavadi speculator has to undergo this process. This knowledge constitutes a great science, and each and every living being has to hear it for his own interest. People in general, especially in this age of Kali, are enamored by the external energy of Kṛṣṇa, and they wrongly think that by advancement of material comforts, every man will be happy. They have no knowledge that the material or external nature is very strong, for everyone is strongly bound by the stringent laws of material nature. A living entity is happily the part and parcel of the Lord, and thus his natural function is to render immediate service to the Lord. By the spell of illusion, one tries to be happy by serving his personal sense gratification in different forms, which will never make him happy. Instead of satisfying his own personal material senses, he has to satisfy the senses of the Lord. That is the highest perfection of life. The Lord wants this, and he demands this. One has to understand this central point of Bhagavad-gītā. Our Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement is teaching the whole world this central point. And because we are not polluting the theme of Bhagavad-gītā as it is, anyone seriously interested in deriving benefit by studying the Bhagavad-gītā must take help from the Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement for practical understanding of Bhagavad-gītā under the direct guidance of the Lord. We hope, therefore, that people will derive the greatest benefit by studying Bhagavad-gītā as it is, as we have presented it here. And if even one man becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, we shall consider our attempt a success. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, 12th May 1971, Sydney, Australia. Jai. We're going to stop here for today, and tomorrow we shall begin the introduction to Bhagavad-gītā. It's a very important, actually, part of the Bhagavad-gītā. It was even made into a separate book, Introduction to Bhagavad-gītā, because it's very, very deep and very much to the point. And yes, we're going to read it tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The link to this book is in the... I'm so sorry, I have this habit of saying that the link to this book is in the description, but the link to this book is going to be ready by next week. So meanwhile, if you really want to read it on your own, you can Google Bhagavad-gītā as it is by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and you will find it. Yes, and we shall see you tomorrow. Please let us... I'm just very excited to read Bhagavad-gītā again, because I feel that in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, growing up in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, when you read this book, when I first read it when I was a teenager, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. And then I read it in my late teens, and now I'm in my mid-20s, and I'm sure that a lot more things will be revealed, a lot more realizations will be coming, and I'm very looking forward to that. So Yes. See you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.